Hi, I'm Stav. I want to quickly show you how to create renderings, simulations without using any embellishment whatsoever. We'll just use what we have in Solid and achieve truly satisfying results to convey the general idea of how our product looks, what materials we're using, and where it exists. Right, let's get started. So what we are going to have to do in order to train a model that will successfully replicate our specific object is to extract approximately 30 up to 50 pictures of the object from all sorts of directions. So the first thing I do is create a shortcut for the capture command in Solid, making it much easier to take these photos consecutively. It simply copies the image each time, allowing me to drop it into Photoshop, and immediately after that I apply materials to my object, whether it's plastic, metal, transparent or glossy materials. All these things are available, and if I want other things, I always can. To remove and to add, what's important to me when I photograph the object from various angles is to pay close attention to the details. If I need to emphasize certain specific details so they come across better in the image. All these features, like a spine on the back, need to be photographed multiple times so the model truly knows how to replicate them. In Photoshop, I simply save each file individually, layers to files, making sure that I save them in sufficiently high quality, and then I take all of this for review. Krea is a platform that primarily utilizes Flex, a system capable of training its model on our specific object by leveraging as many images as possible. This allows it to then replicate and position the object within various distinct scenes. It provides me with an indication regarding the quantity of images I've uploaded and whether their quality is sufficient. In this particular instance, I uploaded approximately 35 images, which proves to be adequate for its requirements. One always has the option to upload additional ones. What I need to pay attention to when I'm providing it with the training definitions is to clearly state that it's an object and not a particular style or a specific character, and also to inform it what the trigger word is. What exactly does that imply? Which specific word should I be using within the prompt so that it will then generate for me this very particular trained object. When I switch from train to edit, I can then select a background image. Then I simply mark the specific area where I want to work, essentially to place the object there, either by using the rectangular selection tool or with the brush. I provide it with my trigger word and the prompt, whether it's a sleek modern portable device or whatever else it might be, and then I choose the object. I tell it, listen, what you've been trained on, that's precisely what I'm interested in having. Another crucial step I take is to clearly instruct it on the specific pose I desire. I simply selected one of the available reference images and then I included them, and this is the result it generates for me. There are still some things that aren't entirely accurate, but for the purpose of this, it's really quite alright. Now, if I want to integrate this more into the scene, and in this particular case, I simply select the part beneath it, and then I tell it, listen, let this reflect upon the surface, and it samples the rest of the scene, and then simply copies the reflection, like in Yad Vashem, for example. Once we have obtained this particular result, and I decide that I want to retouch it even more, I then transfer it to a completely different tool. In this specific situation, I would use FreePick, and within that program, I make use of its upscale function. This is something that can be done quite easily. I want him to start making things up for me. You can clearly see that it's balancing the lighting across the entire scene. The plastic appears a little bit shinier and the objects are a bit more uniform, and this is the direct result of the initial training and reading, and then after that they transfer it over here for upscaling. Another thing I can do is to completely oversee the entire training phase and simply take an image from the solid, place it in upscaling, and tell it this is a certain type of plastic, it's glossy. The more precise a description I provide in the prompt, detailing the window separately, the button, the LEDs, and the USB port, the more accurate the final result will be for me. However, I want to emphasize that even with such a brief description, please pay close attention to the parameters of the creative freedom I'm granting it. I don't give it too much. It knows how to quickly render it and create a basic output that will pass smoothly for lecturers or clients in a presentation or a portfolio. This combination of two tools gives me a substitute for all the time I would have spent learning and operating the link. I have the environment, I have all the specific details, the methods of use, and of course the hero shots of the product. I can easily hang this up in the classroom. That's completely and utterly sufficient for me. And that's all. Good luck.